While my boyfriend David was preparing a warm tea for me, I found a text message on his phone. "David, if Olivia wasn't in the picture, would you like me?" He replied with a single word. "Yes." I handed the phone to David. He didn't argue, he just brought the warm tea to me. "She's just a student from my old school. Nothing is going on between us. Can you please stop overthinking this?" David's tone was filled with helplessness and reproach. I didn't understand why, but from that moment on, something seemed to change. My ovarian cyst made my menstrual cramps twice as bad. I lay curled up by the bed, clutching my abdomen tightly. David came to the bedside with the warm tea and gently woke me. "Sugar, drinking something hot will help. Here, let me feed you." David brought a spoon to his lips, blew on it gently, and offered it to me. "Drink it now, it's not hot." People are always especially vulnerable when they're not feeling well. Seeing David's meticulous care, a wave of warmth spread through me. "Does it still hurt?" I nodded. David put the bowl aside and stroked my head affectionately. "Sugar, wait here. I'll go find some painkillers for you." With that, he went to the guest room to look for medication. Just then, David's phone rang. I picked it up without thinking. "Hello, sir, is your location Oakwood Apartments Building 1? I glanced at the number, it was a delivery. David didn't have a habit of ordering delivery when he was home. I instinctively replied, "No, you have the wrong number." I hung up without giving it much thought. Just as I was about to turn off the screen, the delivery app sent a message, "Delivery arrived." It showed a box of emergency contraceptive pills. Then, a text message popped up. "Thank you, David." The previous message was from half an hour ago, while David was preparing the warm tea for me. "David, remember to take better care of yourself next time." The other party didn't reply. He continued sending messages. "I ordered delivery for you. It should be there soon." The other party only replied with a simple "okay." Not long after, David sent the other party a sad emoji. I looked at the contact name. It was just one letter, X. That's when I knew. It was Chloe. Chloe was a student from David's old school. While they were in school, they were inseparable. But they never acknowledged each other as a couple. Their relationship came to an abrupt halt after Chloe graduated. I didn't know why. Not long ago, David took me out to dinner. Midway through the meal, he suddenly focused on his phone, a faint smile playing on his lips. Seeing him a little distracted, I asked, "What is it, David? What are you looking at so intently?" David's eyebrows curved, his face filled with joy. "Chloe." It was the first time I'd heard David say a girl's name so sweetly. It was as if a soft bud in his heart had bloomed with fragrance at the touch of joy. David snapped back to reality, cleared his throat, and composed himself. Then he handed his phone to me. "Chloe, a student from my old school, is back from New York. She was just venting about some things, and I thought it was funny. Take a look." They were chatting happily. Chloe's profile picture showed a girl leaning her head gently against a mug, smiling broadly. On the mug, there seemed to be a photo of her and someone else. It was clear she was a real beauty. "Sugar, Chloe and I haven't been in touch for a long time. That was just a brief chat to catch up." David pulled me into his arms, buried his head in my neck, and gently massaged my waist. "What's wrong? Are you jealous?" "Sugar, trust your man." David's eyes were incredibly firm, and I trusted my judgment too. But for some reason, uneasiness lingered in my heart. We barely spoke for the rest of the meal. Now I understand. Everything started from that moment. A few minutes later, David appeared at the doorway with the painkillers. Seeing the phone in my hand, he paused slightly. "Did you go through my phone?" I wanted to speak, but a wave of pain shot through my abdomen. David rushed to my side and put the painkillers in my mouth. "Taking too much isn't good. I already split the dose for you. You'll feel better after you take it." In the years David and I had been together, he always treated my menstrual cramps as a major crisis. He took me to every hospital he could find, but there wasn't much they could do. He bought every pain relief device he saw online for menstrual cramps. Every time I had cramps, he would take time off work to take care of me personally. I used to scold him for neglecting his work for such a small matter. He would always hold my hand and say, "It's okay. Work isn't as important as you are. Seeing you in pain makes me feel bad." But lately, something had changed between us. Chloe just needed my help. "I won't do it again next time." David pulled my thoughts back. "Don't overthink it, sugar." I didn't say anything, I just scrolled back to the messages from last night. After we had just been intimate, Chloe sent him a text message. "David, if Olivia wasn't in the picture, would you like me?" He replied with a single word. "Yes." He didn't argue, he just brought the warm tea to me. "Take the medicine. She's just a student from my old school. Nothing is going on between us. Can you please stop overthinking this?" David's tone was filled with helplessness and reproach. I didn't understand why, but from that moment on, something seemed to change. He bought emergency contraceptive pills for Chloe. Should I really not overthink this? Just then, David's phone chimed again. Several messages popped up one after another. It was Chloe. David glanced at me, then turned and went into the living room. I vaguely overheard their conversation. Chloe was complaining that David had been too impulsive. Yesterday, he had stood up for her and injured someone. That's when I realized why David had several bruises on his body yesterday. When I asked him what happened, he just said he bumped into something. It turned out he had gotten angry for a woman. David wasn't someone who got into fights. Since he was a child, he had always talked his way out of things. A skilled debater. He never got physical when it came to fighting. Even when he saw my father hit me, leaving bruises on my face, he only stepped forward to briefly intervene. Then he would say, "Let's just calm down," and leave it at that. Last night, David's actions were unusually rough. I told him it hurt several times, but he didn't stop. Instead, he was even more forceful. That's why my menstrual cramps today were more unbearable than usual. At first, I even joked and asked him if he had been holding back for too long. He put a cigarette to his lips, lit it slowly, and after a long silence said, "No, I just wanted to do that." That was the day he found out something had happened to Chloe. What I thought was passion was just him venting his anger, using my body. Each thrust was him suppressing inner pain. It turned out all of it was because of Chloe. I broke up with David. While I was packing my luggage, he suddenly grabbed me. "Sugar, are you really breaking up?" Looking into his eyes now, I felt a chilling coldness. I used to follow David willingly. He liked hiking, so I would secretly buy a ticket and follow behind him, just to see him one more time. But I didn't have much common sense. I wore slippery white sneakers and was scared the whole way. Just as I was about to slide down a small slope, David turned back and grabbed me. The boy's hands were warm, holding mine tightly, pulling me into his arms. The moment my face touched his chest, my whole heart trembled. He didn't say anything, just held my hand and pulled me up the mountain peak. "You were following me the whole time?" My face flushed, I lowered my head shyly. You knew all along?" "Yeah." David looked at me intently. Then he smiled slightly and reached out to touch my head. From then on, our relationship became subtle. But now everything had changed. Perhaps he hadn't even realized it himself. I snapped back to reality and shook off his grip. "Yes, I'm breaking up." "Move. I'm going to stay at a hotel." As soon as I got back to the hotel, a friend request popped up on my messaging app. It was Chloe. Possessed by some impulse, I accepted the request. I got a clear look at Chloe's profile picture this time. On the mug was a photo of her and David. Because back then, there was a saying about cups symbolizing a lifetime commitment. When I opened her profile, I saw that her profile background was a small lock. Carved finely on it were the letters JHX and PY. Those were the initials of their names. I remembered that lock. David had bought it before. It turned out that day on the mountain, he wasn't just hiking. He was praying for divine protection for the love hidden deep in their hearts. The next day, when I returned to the room to pick up my luggage, I saw Chloe sitting at the dining table. She was holding a cup of warm tea prepared by David, her gaze fixed on him with an unclear look as she rested her chin on her hand, her feet swinging playfully. David was facing away from her, cooking in the kitchen. He was making lamb chops, and I'd never been able to stand the gamey smell of lamb, but Chloe liked it. David turned around and brought the lamb chops to Chloe, carefully deboning and cutting them into pieces. That's when he saw me standing at the doorway. David looked at me, then at Chloe, and frowned. He didn't say a word, but Chloe spoke up. She introduced herself openly and said she was here to thank him today. "I'm so sorry, I forgot I was on my period when I came over. Luckily, David is so thoughtful." "You're really lucky." I didn't reply and turned to leave. Suddenly, David grabbed the hand I was using to open the door. "Are you going to keep making a scene?" David was strong. When I struggled to pull away, I noticed that the engagement ring on his left hand was gone, leaving only a faint white mark. I hadn't expected him to be in such a hurry. I suddenly felt ridiculous. "Let go. Don't bother me." David probably didn't expect me to speak to him like that. He froze for a moment. I glanced at him and said, "Didn't you already take off the engagement ring?" David was silent for a long time. "Sugar, I just forgot to wear it today." David was lying. Since we got engaged, he never took off his ring. I looked at Chloe, smiled faintly, and turned to leave. After leaving, I received a message from Chloe. "Don't misunderstand, I can explain." I didn't reply. Soon, Chloe sent a long string of messages. "My ex was harassing me a few days ago, and David couldn't stand it. He stood up for me and got hurt, which is why I came to see him today. David also told me you saw the medicine he bought for me. It's not that he and I looked at Chloe's messages and replied, "So, you mean David got into a fight and got hurt for you?" After that, I didn't receive any more replies from Chloe. That night, David called me many times. I didn't answer. Then I received a message from David. "Where are you? Answer the phone, sugar." I didn't agree to break up. I didn't reply. I just blocked all his contact methods. Then I turned and went to sleep. A loud thunderstorm outside woke me from my dream with a crash. Then came a frantic knocking at the door. I cautiously opened the door a crack, and David burst in. He was soaked, pushing me against the door. He kissed me fiercely. I told you, sugar, I didn't agree to break up. With that, he picked me up by the waist and threw me onto the bed. I knew what David was going to do. I slapped him hard across the face. He froze in place, his grip on my hands tightening involuntarily. His eyes held not only disbelief but also a hint of hurt. David turned his head away, his damp hair falling loosely across his forehead. His brow bone was high, and when he was expressionless, he always carried a sense of oppressive pressure. I jumped off the bed, grabbed my clothes, threw them on haphazardly, and was about to flee. Just as I was about to open the door, David grabbed me. It's too late. Don't go out. I'll go. With that, he turned and left. A slicing pain gnawed at my heart, wailing uncontrollably. Looking at the hickeys on my neck, I felt annoyed. I sat in the bathroom, scrubbing them over and over until dawn. I never thought that one day, I would feel disgusted by David. It was already 5 in the afternoon when I got back to my mom's place. My mom didn't like me, so I didn't plan to stay there for long. Once I sorted things out, I would naturally move out. Mom brought dinner to me, then turned and went back to the kitchen. After I finished eating, I silently cleared the dining table. Just as I was about to go back to my room to rest, I heard Mom's voice from the kitchen, tinged with accusation. You broke up with David? Why? I didn't say anything. David told me everything. It's all a misunderstanding. Don't be so stubborn. Stay for a few days and go back quickly. Don't make David worry. I wanted to explain, but felt helpless. It had always been this way since I was little. In Mom's eyes, I seemed to always be in the wrong. She always took the opposite side without reservation. When he comes to pick you up tomorrow, don't act out. Go back with him obediently, do you hear me? Given your circumstances, dating David is already out of your league, you know? Don't push your luck. If that great catch really runs off, you'll have nowhere to cry. The ringing in my ears and my mother's nagging merged into one line. I covered my ears and retreated into my room, questioning myself. Was all of this really my fault? Just then, my phone screen lit up. A friend request popped up. Hello, roommate. When I clicked on the profile picture, I thought it looked vaguely familiar. But I happened to need a place to rent. Without much thought, I accepted the request. In less than a moment, the person sent a message. Sugar, it's Alex. Alex? I couldn't help but softly say the name. Memories lingered around the name on my lips, forming a circle. Flowing with time, all the memories surfaced. A sunny afternoon when I was young, sunlight dappled across the boy's face. The boy reached up to wipe the nosebleed and smiled at me wryly. It's okay, sugar, I won't let anyone bully you. The memory was faded and yellowed, the boy's appearance gradually blurred. It wasn't until this moment that I recalled, he was Alex. When I arrived at the restaurant where I was meeting Alex, he had already been waiting for a long time. He was slightly bowed, holding a book, intently following the lines. When he found something interesting, a gentle curve would appear at the corner of his mouth. I pulled out a chair and sat down, my voice sincere. Sorry, I'm late. This is on me. What do you want to eat? Alex looked up and stared at me for a moment, then burst out laughing. You haven't changed at all, sugar. Piano music started playing during dinner. Alex suddenly leaned across the table, close to my ear. Looks like someone is going to propose tonight. I heard that people who witness others' happiness will also be happy soon, is that right? Alex was too close, and the scent of sandalwood on him washed over me. A strange nervousness came over me, making me instinctively lean back. Perhaps I was too flustered, I almost fell. Alex immediately leaned forward, grabbing me anxiously and pulling me into his arms. Sugar, are you okay? My face flushed. I pulled away from Alex's embrace. Just as I was about to say something, I saw David at the table across from us. Chloe was sitting opposite him. Chloe was smiling sweetly, holding a ring box in her hand. David helped Chloe open the box. They looked at each other and smiled. Perhaps feeling a strong gaze, David looked up and met my eyes. In that instant, I saw the shock in his eyes. The next second, he was standing in front of me. He glanced at Alex, then said to me, Sugar, who is he? Ignoring his questioning look, I focused my attention on the ring box in Chloe's hand and said calmly, Remember to let me know when you have the wedding. David's expression changed slightly. After a long silence, he said, It's not like that. You've misunderstood. I understood. Even if I caught them in bed having an affair, David wouldn't admit it. He was walking a fine line morally. He wanted to be responsible to me, but he didn't want to let go of Chloe. The young man from my memories who was devoted to love seemed to be drifting further and further away. Chloe now came over, speaking candidly. Sugar, you've misunderstood. There's really nothing going on between David and me. I asked him to help me pick out this ring today. His taste is always better than mine. So, you're saying I've misunderstood you? Chloe smiled faintly. Yes. Don't you trust David? I sighed and met David's eyes. David, do you still love me? David instinctively glanced at Chloe, who was standing nearby, forcing a smile. Then he took my hand and said seriously, I love you, sugar. The result was just as I expected. David loved me, but he couldn't let go of Chloe either. So his love for me wasn't complete. Every second he was intimate with me, he was thinking of Chloe. Every moment he was with Chloe, he was thinking of how good I was. But love is selfish. Our incompatible relationship dragged on, and David went along with it. We both knew some people just aren't meant to be, but we were too dependent. We didn't want to say goodbye. We'd wake up and feel hopeful about our future again. But now, the moment he looked at Chloe, all my love for him vanished. I laughed, a bitter laugh tinged with regret. David seemed to realize something and reached out to hold my hand, but I pulled away. David followed me to a corner of the street. He stood there, helpless, holding my arm tightly. Sugar, I'm sorry. I admit I wasn't good before. I'm sorry, I apologize. This time it really is a misunderstanding. I never intended to be with her. Chloe isn't what you think. Ever since I got together with you, I haven't thought about being with her again. I didn't answer him. I just pointed to Chloe, who was standing behind him, her face pale. David whipped his head around, standing there helplessly, caught between two people. Alex walked over to my side and spoke. Excuse us. She's my friend. I'm taking her now. You and your girlfriend can work things out. We're not. David protested. Alex chuckled lightly, took off his jacket, and gently draped it over my shoulders. You two are acting like a couple under the guise of being friends. In some ways, you're two peas in a pod. David stood there, his face ashen. In Alex's car, I leaned gently against the car window, letting the cold wind blow through me. Alex suddenly closed the window. I gave you my jacket to keep you from catching a cold. You're still letting the wind blow on you like this. If you get sick, I won't have time to take care of you. Looking at Alex's clearly defined profile, I asked, Alex, if you were David, would you make the same choice he did? Alex paused, glanced at me, and said slowly, I wouldn't be David. And I wouldn't make the same choice as him. I would choose you. The words, like a confession, left me stunned for a moment. I could only clear my throat a few times to ease the awkwardness. I suddenly felt that Alex was different from the shy little boy he used to be. For the next period of time, I stopped dwelling on my relationship with David. I focused my attention on myself. But David waited for me downstairs at my building every day. Sometimes he brought me dinner, sometimes he brought me medicine. I refused everything. Until that day, I saw David sitting by the planter downstairs. He had taken off his suit jacket and placed it aside. One sleeve of his shirt was rolled up, the other down. There was a clear blood stain on the lower sleeve. His hand holding the cigarette had some scrapes. That was the first time in many days that I walked towards him on my own. What happened to you? David stood up awkwardly, brushing the dust off himself, and handed me the food container. He scratched his head sheepishly and laughed. I was afraid you'd be working late and hadn't eaten, so I came to bring you food. I tripped on the way. I know you don't want to see me. I just came to drop off the food. I took the food container from him. He gave a bitter smile and prepared to limp away. David was someone who was very particular about his appearance. If his dress shoes were dirty when he went out, he would go back home to change them, no matter how far away he was. I had never seen him look so disheveled. I walked over to him in silence. Come with me. I took David into the room, got out the antiseptic wipes, and started to treat his wound. David sat down slowly, his voice smiling. Sugar, are you feeling sorry for me? I didn't reply. Seeing that I wasn't completely annoyed, he continued. I'm sorry, Sugar. I didn't handle things well with Chloe. Can we? No. David's tone dropped, and he pushed away the hand that was helping him with the wound. Nothing really happened between us. Do you really have to break up with me over these small things?
Sugar, what else do you want me to do? I know I made a mistake. Do you really have the heart to leave me? David's eyes were red. He gently rested his head against my chest. Sugar, I don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I'm really going to lose you this time. I can feel that you're slowly starting to fall out of love with me, right? David's plea for reconciliation was so humble, but my heart didn't waver. It was he who indulged his feelings for Chloe, allowing them to grow unchecked. It was he who permitted Chloe to get close to him. It was he who disregarded our love. Why was he acting like a victim now? If he had felt even a moment of my heartache, he wouldn't be like this. David, we had love, but it's gone now. David, didn't you know how Chloe felt about you? Or perhaps, Chloe wasn't clear about your feelings for each other. I know. That night, after you found out Chloe had been harassed, that's why you took it out on me like that. So, David, what exactly was I to you? David opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but nothing came out. Then, he turned and disappeared into the night. A week later, Chloe asked me to meet her at the same restaurant where Alex and I had met. After sitting down, Chloe said coldly, I'm done with David. I stirred the coffee in my cup and looked up at Chloe. What does that have to do with me? David and I are completely over. Chloe paused. He said you're the only one in his heart, and he clearly rejected me. I smiled faintly. Chloe continued. David hasn't been doing well lately. I can see he's not happy. I tried everything, but he wouldn't look at me anymore. He just stared blankly at the letters you gave him. I even got naked and lay on his bed, but he wouldn't even spare me a glance. Sugar, I lost. Chloe looked up, her eyes slightly red-rimmed. That day, when he was drunk, I wanted to sleep with him to make it irreversible, but he kept calling your name over and over even when he was drunk. He even cried, and said he was wrong at the end. I'd never seen David like that before. I looked into Chloe's eyes, she seemed to be testing me. I understood instantly she came here to see if I would soften towards David. She wanted to know if I would get back together with him now that I knew he was heartbroken over me, and if she would have another chance to get close to him. I picked up my coffee cup, and gently swirled it. You don't need to test me. David and I are completely over. If you want to be with David, seize the opportunity. This month's menstrual cramps were unbearable. I couldn't even stand. I was curled up on the bed, my face pale. I don't know if I fell asleep or fainted, but I lost consciousness like that. When I woke up, Alex was sitting beside me, looking worried. Are you okay? I nodded and glanced at the IV drip on my hand. What happened to me? Alex picked up the thermos from the bedside table, and poured me a glass of water. You fainted from the pain. I called you so many times. You didn't answer. I was worried something might have happened to you, so I rushed over to find you. The doctor said your ovarian cyst needs a minor procedure soon. Why did you put off getting treatment for so long? I sheepishly rubbed my nose. Well, I've been used to it for so many years, and I've been a bit busy lately, so I forgot. Alex sighed helplessly. What do you want to eat? I'll go get it for you. You need to build your strength up now. I thought for a moment. I didn't really have an appetite. Just get anything. I'll just eat a little. Alex tucked me in, and gently patted my head. Okay, you rest here. I'll go get you breakfast. With that, he turned and left. Usually, I don't have much of an appetite during my period, which is why David used to prepare warm tea for me. Suddenly, a shadow passed the doorway. David stood at the entrance, his eyes red, holding a thermos. After only a few days, David looked so worn down. His hair was messy, and stubble had appeared. There were dark circles under his eyes, so he clearly hadn't slept well for many days. Looking at him like that, I felt something I couldn't quite describe. After all, he was someone I had loved, and I still felt a little bit of heartache. But what did it matter? The moment he developed feelings for Chloe, we couldn't go back to how things were. Even if I forgave him, the seed of his betrayal would always be planted in my heart. Every time I remembered, a sharp blade would stab deeper into my chest. I had seen him love me with all his might, so every second he was distracted, I could feel it clearly. David cautiously came to my side, and opened the thermos. Sugar, warm tea. It tastes just like before. For some reason, though my heart had been calm, seeing the warm tea in the center of the thermos made me feel sad. David, are you trying to make amends? Make up for the hurt you caused me. I gently pushed the warm tea back. David, we've already broken up. I don't need your warm tea anymore. David stood there, frozen and helpless. Sugar, I've made things completely clear with Chloe this time. We won't see each other again. David's voice trembled, perhaps from reluctance to let go of Chloe. Everything before was my fault. I truly realize it now. I shouldn't have allowed her to get close to me. I knew. David suddenly stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Sugar, believe me, I just want us to have our own life. I won't be like that anymore, I promise. Please, don't leave me. I calmly pulled my hand away from David's. Do you still love her? No. David said firmly. Alex appeared with some plain porridge, and sat down in front of me. David wanted to say more, but couldn't find the words. Sugar, can we not go back to how things were? I nodded. David, we're finished. David left the thermos by the bedside, stood up, and with his head down, muttered an apology before turning, and leaving. His silhouette stretched long under the streetlight, lonely and desolate. You're just drinking this. Alex glanced at the warm tea in the thermos. Yeah. TSK, 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 that's too sad. I looked at Alex and, on impulse, asked, do you like me? Yes. He answered openly. Alex's ears were slightly red, and his eyes were full of tenderness. Sugar, do you want to be my girlfriend?